Hey everyone, this is Steve Schmid back for another session. Today what I'd like to talk about is hand pumps and freezing temperatures. Um, so the answer is absolutely you can use a hand pump in freezing temperatures most of the time. I would say that there are very small instances, depending on how cold it is and how much water you put through the hand pump, that can cause some problems. It's never going to damage the hand pump to use it in freezing temperatures, but I'll go into a bit more detail, those few exceptions and how to avoid them and get around them. But in general, hand pumps have what's called a weep hole. So what we do is we actually put a hole several feet below the surface that's actually down below that freeze line, so that when you're done pumping, that water that's all up in the top and out exposed to the freezing temperatures drains back down. And that gets all the water out. So then all you'll have is droplets and other small amounts of water, not enough that when it freezes, it expands and it breaks pipe, or it breaks, even can break the stainless. I mean, it's amazing what ice can do. But everything drains out through that weep hole. Um, Now, let me talk about the exceptions. We have seen situations where in very, very cold weather with a very, very, very low wind chill factor, uh, that when the pump is very high on the well casing, meaning a lot of that steel tube, stainless steel tube, is exposed to that wind, we've had customers go out and start pumping and only put a half a gallon of water through it, and then stop and then walk away and then come back, uh, and it's stuck. Uh, the reason for that is that the temperature of the water that's down below is 50 degrees, 45, 50, 55 degrees. The temperature of the earth that's down below, that isn't frozen. But the pump itself and the stainless steel that the water is traveling through, because of that wind chill or because of those really cold temperatures, is incredibly cold. And if you think about the water coming up and the temperature of that steel, what you want to do is you want to put a bit more water through it, so you're almost warming that steel up. You're making it above freezing. So by putting 5, 6, 7, 10 gallons through, that water being warmer is going to warm up that steel. And what it's going to allow for is, once you're done, that water to weep down very quickly and not create a ton of droplets or create a layer of frozen, of ice inside the internals of the top of the pump head. Um, and then everything will dry and it'll work fine the next time. But if you don't put much water through, then that core temperature of that steel is never going to be above freezing. So when you stop putting that warmer water through it, it's going to freeze that water really quickly, and create a film of ice on the rod, which will not allow it to go through the guide that's in the pump head assembly, or even through the seals that are at the top. So to go from most cases to every case, and if you're in those kind of climates and you need to go use the hand pump, make sure that you put a decent amount of water through it, enough to bring up the core temperature of that pump head assembly. Another thing that you can do to help prevent that is, in the wintertime, periscope your pump down to a lower height so that it's not exposed to that wind chill. All right, if that wind comes through and that pipe is down in the casing, well, it's going to hit the casing. It's not going to get to the pump head assembly itself. And during those winter months, maybe keep it lower, and then continue to put a fair amount of water through it, and that will prevent those few cases where the weather's so extreme and the situation is kind of just perfect to allow that ice to form and then cause the pump to seize up. Now that pump will not stay seized up. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to damage any of the components. It would just temporarily render that pump unusable. So again, this is a very small case. If you're normal winters like we see in most of the U.S. or even a lot of Canada, you're not going to see any kind of issues. But if you do have those extreme situations with incredibly low temperatures and very, very low wind chill factors, try and treat the pump a little differently during those periods of time to prevent a potential sticking situation. If you want to talk more about this and how it might impact you in your area, you're always welcome to give us a call. Please don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.